All right, let's dive into something that I find totally fascinating: the unfiltered mind. We're going to explore why some people seem to see and hear and feel, well, just about everything with this incredible intensity, while a lot of us just miss those details completely. So let me just ask you this straight up. Do you ever feel like you're just taking in too much information? Like your senses are all turned up to 11 and you just can't find the volume dial anywhere? Maybe you're that person in a meeting who catches that split-second look of doubt on someone's face. Or maybe you can just instantly tell something's off from a tiny shift in a friend's voice over the phone. You walk into a room and you can practically feel the mood, the unspoken tension. If any of that is ringing a bell, trust me, you are not alone, and there's a really interesting reason for it. Okay, so let's go from just that feeling to the actual science behind it. What is this thing we're calling hyperobservance? Let's put a real name to it. The scientific term is high sensory processing sensitivity. And here's the most important part, so listen close. This is not a disorder. It's a common, totally neutral personality trait. All it really means is that your brain is wired to process sensory info, sights, sounds, emotions, way more deeply and thoroughly than the average person's brain. So how in the world does this actually work inside the brain? Well, the key idea is something that a lot of researchers call the brain's missing filter. Okay, here's a fantastic way to think about it. Imagine that most people's brains have a really, really effective spam filter. All the sensory data that's constantly flooding in, the hum of the lights, the feeling of your socks, a car horn down the street, the brain just automatically files it away as irrelevant, so you can focus on whatever you're doing. But in a hyper-observant brain, that spam filter is turned way down, or maybe even off completely. It doesn't just skim the subject lines. Oh no, it opens and reads every single email. Every little piece of sensory data is treated like it might be important, so it gets flagged for the full, deep dive processing treatment. And this comparison here really lays it all out. On the left, you've got your standard filtering system, where the brain is actively blocking out noise so you can focus. And then on the right, you have high sensitivity, where the brain just lets almost everything through for this deeper analysis. And listen, it's not about one being better than the other. They're just two fundamentally different operating systems for experiencing the world. So, what does this actually mean for daily life? Well, having this unfiltered mind is kind of like having a superpower, but it's absolutely a double-edged one. It comes with some incredible gifts, for sure, but also some very real challenges. And you can see that trade-off right here. The power side is amazing, right? Deep empathy, sharp intuition, a real knack for noticing opportunities or dangers that literally everyone else misses. I mean, you can see how that would be a huge evolutionary advantage, being the canary in the coal mine for your tribe. But then there's the price. All that constant processing is exhausting. It can make you easily overstimulated, lead to burnout, and sometimes even social anxiety because you're just processing so much social data at once. So, given that trade-off, probably the most important thing you can do is to reframe how you think about all this. This is not a flaw you need to fix. It's better to think of it as a core feature of your personal operating system. It's just how you're built. I think this quote just nails it. It's not that you see too much, it's that you process the world in high definition. Your brain is basically rendering reality with more pixels, picking up on all the tiny nuances, the subtle colors, and the rich textures that other brains might just compress or even discard altogether. So here's the bottom line. The goal should never, ever be to try and see less. That's just not going to happen. The real work is to understand this trait and then learn how to manage that constant flow of information. Maybe that means scheduling some sensory downtime for yourself, just 10 minutes in a quiet room, or maybe it's using noise-canceling headphones to create your own personal filter when you really need to focus. And that brings us to the final thought here. We've seen that experiencing the world in this high-resolution way comes with both incredible power and a pretty steep price. So it leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. Is seeing more always better?